Hey, Jimmy, good morning. How are you?
Bob, good morning. Doing well. How about yourself?
Real good. Did you weather that storm last night?
Yeah, it was another wild one, but thankfully we've got some beautiful days ahead of us this weekend, so it was worth it. It was
That's
worth it.
good. That's good. I'm glad to see that. So here we are on the 24th day of April, and we're talking about principle number 24, which is talk about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. Share with us a story about that, Jimmy. I'm sure you've had a couple of opportunities to practice that.
Oh, absolutely, all too many. Yeah, so fall of 2015, I am the assistant caddy services manager at Seminole Golf Club,
High
my
end country club in South Florida.
South Florida.
Okay.
And my boss at the time, Rick, was starting to get very frustrated because it's kind of abnormal. We had an influx of new caddies, we called rookie caddies. And Rick was getting negative feedback from the members on, their caddy ability, their interpersonal skills, um, that some of them were showing up too early for Rick. Some of them were showing up too late. So they were there when he didn't need them and not there when he needed them. So he looked at me and he said, "Kid, we got to do something about this."
Good. I
So
like
I
that.
said, "Rick, here's what we'll do. I'll have a meeting with the new guys only, 10 guys, and I'll basically talk about how it was for me my first year, my rookie year." And so I did. I pulled all the guys together the next morning, and it was great. Began in a friendly way. And what I did was I talked about the mistakes I made and the areas I needed improvement in my first year.
Wow.
And the times that I showed up at. And I said, there's a lot of things here, guys, that can be cleared up for you. And at the end of the meeting, I opened it up for questions. And sure enough, they asked some meaningful questions that benefited them and cleared up a lot of uncertainties that they had.
That's
So it was
powerful.
very, very constructive meeting. And that made me more approachable for them. And it smoothed the barrier out. And they felt very comfortable to ask those questions. And
Great.
sure enough, they knew when to show up. Their caddying abilities got better. And it became a very, very good season. So when we talk about our own mistakes before criticizing the other person, the benefit we get from that is an establishment of trust and the freedom to coach.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You and I were talking offline a little while earlier about, that not everybody's going to experience a high end country club. I mean, you've worked at three of the most iconic ones that there are. And and it is a different world and different atmosphere. As a caddy manager, though, you're dealing with individuals as caddies who are manual labor plus human relations experts. Because, I mean, like where you are now, they carry two bags at once, and those bags are heavy. I mean, it's, these people that play the game, they don't, come around with a light bag. I mean, they're heavy. I mean, I don't know how many pounds they are, but I've got to think they're 40, 45 pounds or something, that when all the clubs are in there, I'm not sure. And so these individuals are walking 6, 7, 8 miles with two bags on their shoulders. Plus, sometimes the members can get a little petulant, and they're CEOs of companies and corporations. And you have got to really, practice great human relations. And you, as a caddy manager, have got to trust that individual that they're going to treat those members, because that's what your job is. And it's really interesting to see that. It must be it must be a unique situation that you get to work in.
Yes, for sure. And talking about the principles, as far as the leadership principles go, that's got to be, that's in my opinion one of the hardest ones to apply, because nobody likes to talk about what they do wrong. But what it does is, like we said, it frees up the other individuals where they can come to you kind of whenever they want to, and it just frees up that barrier and becomes a more relaxed environment at work.
And it makes you real. You know, it really
Yeah.
makes that leader a real person, knowing that, you know, that they weren't dropped out of the sky at the top of the food chain. You know, they had to work their way up through that, and the experiences that they had, it lets you be more empathetic with individuals, and they can understand a little bit more about your climb to where you got also. So it's very fascinating. Good. I've really appreciated the last couple of weeks of spending time with you here. And, you know, as we've talked very often in the Dale Carnegie world, this is not a talk about program. It's an application program. And when you apply these principles, different things happen. I mean, they really do. And it's a way of life. We talk about living an intentional life, and it's not easy. I mean, we all have stimuli that gets us throughout the day, the week, the month, the year, that, you know, that we become negative or our thought process has changed. And sometimes you need another person like yourself or myself to say, hey, wait, let's take a step back and take a look at this and say, which principle can we apply in this situation? Because, you know, we're living in a stressful time, of course, with economic challenges, health challenges, political challenges. Most of our stress tends to come from another person, or our relationship with another person, not necessarily, could be you, you know, it not necessarily the other person that's causing the stress, but it's usually, you know, the stress comes a lot from other people, our relationship with them. And these human relationships and these human relations principles really help us mold that into a thing that can make kind of grease the wheels a little bit, make it a little bit more smooth. So I appreciate it. Any final thoughts today, Jimmy?
Yeah. Just continue, like we talked about, staying positive, but also, you know, Bob, you and I talked about it earlier. You don't have to be a manager or a CEO to apply these principles. That's the beauty of it.
Yes.
Anybody can lead.
Mhm.
That's the best part. When these principles are applied, it's just unbelievable to see the feedback and the results. That's just the best part of it. So continue to apply these principles that we talk about, and that we apply or try to apply.
Yes.
The benefit is just insurmountable.
You know, human life is a work in progress. And the minute it stops becoming a work in progress, that's no good. And what I mean by that is we can get better every day. Yesterday has nothing to do with today. Yesterday only had to do with yesterday. Uh, Today is tomorrow has nothing to do. You can't do anything about it. Today we can make a difference. We can make an impact. So that's where it's a work in progress. I can get better today. I might regress tomorrow. I can get better today.
Mhm.
Not sure if we'll touch base over the weekend. If not, I'll see you here Monday morning, about 8:50 in the morning. You and I'll get on before we hit the Facebook Live at 9 o'clock. So appreciate you, Jimmy.
Sounds good, Bob.
We
Thank
had
you.
sunshine in Savannah this weekend, and, you know, take care of yourself and be safe.
Thanks, Bob. You too.